The internet is a strange thing. It's this place that exists and doesn't exist at the same time. It could be your whole world, but when you put down that phone, it ceases to be real. In this modern world, we live our lives straddling two parallel planes, assuming dual identities. Why did we create the internet? Was it because we had uncovered the secrets of the earth and needed to invent new mysteries to solve? Why did we create this tool to access information instantaneously, but not create safeties to trust the information we expose ourselves to? What does it say about humanity that our path to enlightenment is shrouded in shadows? An optimist might say shadows only exist because of the light. What I think, though, the light from a computer monitor tends to cast the longest shadows. My name's Emmanuel. I go by E. I try to remain somewhat anonymous, even though most assume I'm a guy because of the name. I don't love the attention when people online find out that I'm not. I'm the social media person for Subsister. My producer Trisha hired me to run the Patreon and all the posts to inform you when new episodes drop. I used to work for her on her last show, Candlestick in the Library. It was a true crime podcast, but things didn't end too well there. I didn't get fired, but I wasn't able to keep working there. It's a whole thing, I'm not going to get into it. It's boring work. I'd say it keeps the lights on, but it really doesn't. I live with 4 roommates in a glorified closet trying to get by on about 5 part-time jobs. And that means I have to pretend to be someone else to scam a Starbucks coffee at the pickup line some days. Caffeine is the best legal drug available. That's what keeps the lights on. Being a social media manager for a pretty low-key podcast in 2022 means that I'm online. A lot. Like all day. Like never without a smartphone in my hand or on the computer. And I get bored. And maybe I get sidetracked. Blame the caffeine. One of those sidetracks might be something called an ARG. ARG is an acronym for Alternate Reality Game. They're these stories or games that you experience online mostly. They can be social media accounts that pretend something is really happening, like the sun vanished or marble hornets. Or they might even be more interactive, like a visual novel. Nothing gets me in the flow state like latching onto an esoteric clue, putting on a tense movie soundtrack and digging in. Internet searches, Discord servers, skimming through source code. It's what I live for. And I'm kind of known online for it. I was one of the people that cracked the Seeker 6611 ARG. It involved finding QR codes in physical locations, and I benefited from living in Los Angeles for once. It's nice being a part of that community, finding like-minded individuals who, like me, live in between the threads of society. As time goes on and I've drifted from my many siblings and neglectful parents, I'm connecting less and less with the real world and more with this network of online sleuths. I even game with some of them, like my friend Gummy Bear. We don't use our real names. I just go by E, and I guess he likes to be called his favorite candy. Should I have named myself Oreo Blizzard? In this sleuthing world, there's something new and exciting bubbling. It's a game without a name, and we've been referring to it as the Scavenger Hunt. A hacktivist group online known only as Scavenger, spelled SKVNGR, no vowels, just like all the trendy apps these days, are holding tryouts, auditions. They've set up a series of puzzles to solve in exchange for entry into their organization. Every day, I make a post about Subsister, checking on my other jobs, do what I need to do there, and then start digging into this scavenger thing. Would I use the word addicted? Maybe. Obsessed? Certainly. The whole thing started with an image. It was a picture of a moth wing. They posted this moth wing JPEG on Reddit, and we all dug in. Most of us got through that first test pretty quickly. How? You take the picture into a text editor and break it down. See what secrets are hidden in the code of the picture. That's where we learned their name, Scavenger. That's where we learned about the hacktivism and that this was all a recruitment drive. Only a select few of us would be chosen to join them, determined by who beat all of their games and made it to the end of the road. And how quickly, which meant the race was on. Immediately, I struck up a chat with Gummy Bear on Discord. What did he think about all this? Rather than congratulate me on solving the first mystery, he warned me off. He said that this one felt different than the others. That Scavenger sounded like an actual dangerous group, not someone interested in having fun or even just trying to outsmart the community. What if they were terrorists? What if this was a CIA op to find folks they don't want walking around freely? The whole conversation put me off. That's not what I wanted to hear. I let the chat trail off and move back to the Scavenger Hunt. On our Discord, a newer user posted something. They'd moved on to the next stage. But how? They'd already interpreted the numbers we found in the Mothwing picture? I reached out to them. Their username was Wreath, with a bunch of numbers at the end. So was their snack a Christmas wreath? My queries went unanswered, though. Either Wreath's inbox had been flooded with messages already, or they weren't interested in chatting if there wasn't something to gain. Fine, I thought, moving back to solve the next stage by myself. None of the comments in the Discord were helpful either. Same type of questions, same responses. A real group think that lacked creativity and outside-of-the-box thinking it was going to require to solve this thing. Inspecting the numbers, I managed to isolate a certain set. This set of numbers turned out to be an ISBN, International Standard Book Number. Every book published has this 13-number code. And what book did this one belong to? Cain's Jawbone. If you're unfamiliar, it's a puzzle book about a murder mystery, but every page is out of order. It's kind of the Super Bowl of these mystery things. This had to be it, I thought. Did I have to buy the book? Or was this whole thing a marketing campaign for Cain's Jawbone? I started mindlessly scrolling through the reviews. I never actually read the book. Was it as good as everyone says? And that's when I saw it. A review by someone named Chop Chu. And the review was total nonsense. It was just infinite numbers. Except they weren't infinite. I actually counted them out and it came out to 10,136,663,101 numbers. This had to be something connected. It was simply too strange to be anything else. That's when I figured out that Chop Chu is a Turkish word and translates to, you guessed it, trash person or scavenger. But what was the number? With evidence in hand, I got back to the chat window with Wreath and typed in that number. They responded asking what took me so long to figure out Belphegor's number. Belphegor's number. I started searching it up. It's some demonic number that these puzzle heads like to use. I got back to Wreath and explained how I'd come across it. But what do we do with Belphegor's number next? Wreath hadn't figured out the next step either. But they were willing to work with me now that I'd proven myself to be superior to the folks on the Discord. I didn't like their demeaning attitude. They had an ego for someone who never even referred to themselves in first person, abstaining from all pronouns entirely. How did Wreath think of themselves? Was Wreath even a person? Or a bot? As I scanned the Discord, it started to make sense to me that Wreath could be a bot. All of the responses started to cycle and seem extremely similar on our server. Bots are a natural part of the internet nowadays, and you can't do anything without dealing with them. But was our Discord server seriously this infested with them? And why? Was it because of Scavenger? Is this part of their game? I realized I was spiraling into conspiracy. I was starting to view the world the way Scavenger was hoping, looking at everything with suspicion, poking at it, trying to uncover something underneath. Who were they? Were they fighting for a cause? A truth to uncover? Or were they attempting a cover-up for something else? Were we activists? Or soldiers? I asked Gummy Bear why he was so freaked out by Scavenger. He just said that a group with a declaration of hacking activity like that are never good news. I was suspicious of Gummy Bear now. Was he trying to dissuade me from an ulterior motive? I asked Gummy about his friends on the Discord server. Gummy was one of the first people I talked to and seemed to be well connected in the community. Not one of the more successful solvers, but a keystone to the group conversation. He talked about his friend he gamed with, another he bought drugs from, and I wrote their usernames down. Looking deeper in each one of them, though, I found that there wasn't much to go off of. Were they so anonymous that they were able to hide everything about themselves? I'm telling you, they had no social media presence, no photos of themselves. It was starting to get eerie. Gummy Bear's friends were all bots, and I was starting to suspect that everyone in the server might be too. I went back to Wreath, asking point blank if they were a bot. Their response? Wreath told me that society had turned everyone into bots long ago. Nothing left but drones. Online? No different. I got the philosophical point they were making, but I pointed out that I'd seen these exact responses from these users in the past. I revealed my theory that our Discord server was infested with bots. Wreath then asked me if all this seemed intentional. Before I could even answer, Wreath explained that Scavenger was just trying to show us something. Show us how the world really is. It's false, full of shadows pretending to be people, but they're not real. This whole thing was starting to feel a bit too Matrix for me. They finished by declaring that they had to keep playing the scavenger hunt, that I had to, because we had to escape this false reality. We had to become real. Solving all of this, being let into Scavenger, they don't let bots in. only humans. Winning this would finally make Wreath become human. Before I could even respond to that, Wreath sent a photo of themselves with their face blurred out, holding a piece of paper that said, "Becoming human." Funny enough, that's what confirmed to me that Wreath was real and not a bot. I had one human ally. Gummy Bear? My friend for years? Was he even real? We agreed to work together to solve the mystery, but I definitely had questions about Wreath. What kind of life did they live that would lead them to need the validation of this group to feel real? And what even was real? The lines were starting to blur for me as I questioned the veracity of my own online life. Also, I had to check back in with Trisha for some Subsister work, and it dawned on me how similar our situations actually were. She was lightly venting about Ray and his inability to drop the whole alternate podcast thing. I nodded along, knowing that I was a complete hypocrite, although I do find Ray insufferable and don't know how Trisha puts up with him. Was I just as bad as him, driven by my obsession for the truth? My situation was completely different, right? Trisha's my rock, and she deserves so much better than either me or Ray. As I logged back into Discord, I wondered if I should drop this whole thing. Maybe I should disconnect from the internet for a little while, only get on for work purposes, and try to reconnect with those physical elements of my world. Go on a hike. Call one of my sisters. I have 3 of them. You'd expect I'd be closer to at least one of them. I even said it earlier in this blog post. I was drifting further and further away from the real world into this ethereal technoscape. And that's when something shook me out of the malaise of resignation. A new message from an anonymous user. If I thought I could walk away from Scavenger and Wreath and all the shadows before, I was dead wrong, no matter how much this should make me feel like running. The message? You play a dangerous game. There is no pole position to victory. Stop. Stop playing Scavenger's game. A vague yet threatening warning to stop what I'm doing? If only my brain actually worked that way and I could step off this crazy ride. But I think this only guarantees that this isn't the final entry in Subsisting, a real blog. Hi, this is Alexander Chamberlain, and I'm the creator of Subsister, a real podcast. Thank you for listening to our summer miniseries, Subsisting 1.0. This miniseries was created to support the Indiegogo campaign for Season 2 of Subsister, a real podcast. If you can, please check out the link in the notes and support the show any way you can. It doesn't even have to be a financial donation. It can be resources or contacts you want to send that you think can help a podcast production. We'd love to hear from you. You can message us on Indiegogo, email us, or through our Patreon. If you head over there, you can subscribe and support the show, where a new bonus episode will be dropping this fall 2025 for all paid subscribers. Meanwhile, Subsisting 1.0 will be releasing on Wednesday mornings for free on the main feed for 6 weeks this summer 2025. Thank you again, and I hope you're looking forward to the return of Subsister, a real podcast for Season 2.